You're saying that the situation in the world is deteriorating, there's a crisis, and so on. But if we look into history, then things weren't better in the past. Israel, for instance, 60 years ago or something, well, undoubtedly the things previously weren't better, but I'm talking about the state of the people. I'm talking about the extent to which people, how to put it, feel repelled from this life, how empty they feel it, ever more unneeded, ever more mechanical. They live against their will. They can't even think about why they're living because they'll become nauseated. And to kill yourself, okay, what then? Also, that force that sustains us in life does not allow us to do that because we have to perform several actions in life and maybe live through even not that pleasant states that actually push us forward to the recognition that there's a need to change something. So, in that respect, we're nonetheless advancing. If you'll speak to people in the world today, I can show you pictures that I have from Kenya, for instance, from Latin America, from Asia, from such places where people study Kabbalah. And my students, they're such that from external appearance, you would never think that those people, they could be close to such ideals. And today, this idea is reaching everyone, also in China, as you know, and in Japan, and in Asia, and even in Africa, well, Latin America, that goes without saying. The worst, by the way, are Europe. So we're advancing nonetheless to the point where humanity starts acknowledging the emptiness, the nothingness of such an existence, meaning the human within a man speaks ever more, notifying about the lack of its fulfillment, that there has to be something higher than our life, because this existence is being looked upon as something animalistic. How much can you try and control it? How much can you try and find the good life? So that what? So that later it will be buried or burned with you? In general, there's no point, and it becomes so acknowledgeable by people these days that, of course, previously there was no such thing. And thus, of course, our generation is more advanced than the previous generations. Well, look, suppose in the 60s, life was kind of terrible. Minorities were bothered and made fun of and disturbed regularly. Yes, there were organizations that did all these kinds of things. In general, yes, there was a much greater lack of equality than today. And today there are other kinds of problems. And what? Well, I mean that it was much harder for a person in life. Externally, there was different pressure, like, will there be war or not? You're talking about external factors going on. There was Nazism. It's also an external appearance. You're beating up someone. you abuse someone and so on. In the past, Nazism, Ku Klux Klan, you remember what happened to the Jews, for instance. All that changed today. Nothing changed. Absolutely nothing in the world changed. You have no idea what low human urges will burst out in humanity, up to the point where people will eat each other up. Physically, you'll eat up your enemy because he is your enemy. Like in the past, there was the eating of the brain or the liver of your enemy. You'll see people how they eat each other up physically. It didn't go anywhere. People's nature didn't change at all whatsoever. It even became sharper because today people are in complete disillusion. If in the past there was disillusion about the social structure, political structure, disappointment with the family, hunger, battle, some Mein Kampf, other different ideological or spiritual disputes. Today, all that is gone. Today, there is a general indifference and hopelessness. And that's the worst thing, because there's no way out of it. And thus, humanity is simply ready to destroy everything itself, because there's no point in living, nothing to thrive for. Can you offer anything, any idea for a better life, a way out of what we have? No. And thus, there could be a war here of everyone against everyone. Why? In order to get out of the situation, to get rid of it. Not in order to achieve some goal, to conquer Russia like Hitler wanted to, the Third Reich and so on, to be all over Europe and Russia and everything around. No. That's not the purpose. And what's the point? What will you conquer today? Here you have an example, Russia with this great area. Who needs all that soil when the borders, they're open? Do whatever you want. And thus, this mutual hate, when it will unfold, you'll see here such revelations of the human animalistic nature, which is much worse than all the KKK and Hitler. The future to come is much worse.